And we are here, Derek Shapiro Show, D Shop in the morning, and all my platforms. And we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartRadio, and we have my good friend Beth over here. So tell me, you're a resident of North Providence, Rhode Island, and you have a landlord issue.
Correct.
So tell the viewers, because you wanted the local news station here in Rhode Island to cover this, but I have a platform too. I have the podcast here in Rhode Island, and people actually in other states are hearing this too. Probably Massachusetts and Connecticut. 'Cause I promote in all the 3 states. So let me tell us the viewers what's going on with you.
So I'll just start with most recently. It's been over 2 weeks, so the very end of June, we were waking up to our electricity going off, which in the past was a pretty common issue. There were electricity issues. Those were fixed in March. We did keep demanding that our landlord fix the electricity issues. The issues were finally resolved. So we haven't had any problems since then, probably mid-March, maybe early March even. But it was around March that these electricity issues were fixed. So we wake up to no electricity. We'd been in bed. We knew we hadn't touched anything. No power outage. We can still hear ACs running through the neighborhood. What we did hear was the basement door, which is closest to our bedroom than probably any other room in the house. The basement door being closed and padlocked. My landlord had also just come home from work. It was early in the morning on a Sunday morning. Like I said, very end of June. So we realized that she had intentionally turned off our power. We went down the cellar to reset the breaker, and there was a padlock on the door.
Why is she starting this trouble? Are you up to date with the rent?
Yes, absolutely. I was telling you earlier that I had printed out a letter to the mayor, just listing all the documentation of previous harassment. We started harassment proceedings in, I believe, March of this year was when we started our harassment proceedings legally through a lawyer. And she hasn't been served anything, or she hadn't been until that point. It was actually filed through court on July 9th. But we had started these proceedings with a lawyer back in March. So there was always some form of harassment. But the whole problem with the electricity started late June, and this is her last attempt to get us out without legally evicting us. Not because we didn't pay rent. I had printed out not only the letter that I sent to the mayor's office today, but I also started printing out every copy of every check we've ever written to her, and we've been living here for over a year now.
Why is she starting this trouble with you guys?
Lots of reasons. It's retaliation. We asked for repairs in the home. At the beginning of us moving in here in June of 2023, she did promise she would complete all these repairs. They've been bothersome, but early this year, my boyfriend started getting hurt in the snow in the staircase that she had said that she was going to fix. We've always known it was an issue. But again, back last year, it was going to be fixed. It was going to be fixed. She was waiting for insurance money. She was waiting for insurance money. This was going to be fixed. That was going to be fixed. The only thing that's actually been fixed in this house is electric. That was one of the issues from the day that we moved in that we had notified her of. And that's the only thing that has actually been resolved was initially her fixing the electricity so it worked properly up until or starting in March.
Does she want to kick you guys out?
That's exactly what she's doing, but she hasn't taken any legal action against us.
So I like that shirt. I like that shirt, badass.
Thank you.
Yeah. So are you referencing to her? Is she a badass?
I think she thinks she is.
What do you want to give her name?
Yeah, it's Tiffany Lima.
Tiffany Lima. And does she live on the property too?
She does. She's on the first floor. We're on the second.
She's on the first floor, and you're on the second.
Correct.
So, and how many units are there? Are there other residences other than you guys living there?
It only gets better, Derek. There is a third floor illegal apartment. She has already been served by the town for this. She has a judgment against her from previous tenants, a legal judgment against her for these same illegal eviction tactics against her from previous tenants. And she
Really?
still continues to rent the illegal third floor apartment. So yes, there is someone living above us.
And are they having issues with her too?
When we first moved in here, she was pretty much leaving us alone. She was harassing him, and we basically stood out of it. We didn't know the full facts of it.
Right.
We started to learn because my boyfriend became friendly with the third floor tenant, Dave. His dog would come down and play with ours. We would babysit the dog. Scott would take him for walks. Scott would help him do things like dishes or help with his vehicle. So they became friends. What's that?
What is your neighbor?
My neighbor's name is Dave.
Oh, Dave. Okay. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. So, Scott's your boyfriend?
He is. Yep.
Yes. Okay. So Scott. Okay. So I want to make sure. So Dave's your neighbor. Scott's your boyfriend. Scott's my middle name too. So okay. So, so the thing is, what's happened with the third floor too? Is she not harassing the third floor at all now, or is she still?
So when she was harassing him, he would start to tell us because again we were friendly with him. This is back, July, August, September, October. She was harassing. Was that? Yeah, last year. We've been here since last June.
So that stopped with him, and it continued with you though.
Yes, what she kind of does is switches back and forth. Apparently, she doesn't have enough energy to harass two tenants at the same time. So right now he's not being harassed because we're getting the brunt of all this.
So you live in the same property. If you knock on her door right now, what would she say?
I'm not knocking on her door right now. There's so much legal action being taken place and so much police presence. I'm not trying to cause a disturbance.
So what type of police presence is there with her?
I'm trying to think of the first time she called the police. I think she said we were smoking in the house. So I smoke cigarettes. My boyfriend smokes marijuana. So there was never a problem with that. She said, I don't care if you smoke in the house. We did. Not a problem, right? So my boyfriend gets hurt in late February, maybe early March. He's got to go for surgery. He ends up having surgery in May. So around April, he actually quit smoking. So we definitely weren't smoking in the house in May. I go outside, I take my dogs for walks. He does the same thing. That's what he used to do. When she asked us to stop smoking in the house, we stopped smoking in the house. Like, that's actual factual, like, that's what we did. We're not trying to be assholes. I mean, she allowed us to smoke here initially, absolutely, 100%. And then she asked us to stop. But she kept harassing us. I can smell it. We're not smoking in the house. What you're smelling is our third floor neighbor smoking. What you're smelling is us burning incense. You see me go outside and smoke cigarettes. I'm walking my dog 6-7 times a day. But that was one of the things, like, where she actually started. So she would call the police. The funny thing is, I think the first time the police came, and I'm not sure that they actually spoke with us, but we have ring cameras all over our house. And like our front entrance, our back entrance, at our vehicles. So she became mad that we were recording everything, which was not a problem when we first moved in June, when there was no problems. It wasn't a problem that we had cameras. But the police first came probably around April or May. She was complaining of us smoking. And this was probably at 9-10 o'clock at night. My boyfriend had been sleeping for probably 2 hours at that point. I knew nobody was smoking in this house. Sure. He was sleeping. That was the first police presence. But she would call them on occasion for things like that. And mostly they didn't interact with us even. And we would just kind of know that they had been here from the ring cameras. And we could even hear it. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with ring cameras, but they actually record sound as well. So we could even hear what was going on. Yeah. I think the first time, or that I remember, and probably it was most recently, a cop coming to our door, ringing the camera doorbell. I wasn't even home, Scott was. So he goes down to answer, asks the cop, what is it you need? And the cop said, hey, your landlord wants you to move your vehicle. We were parked on the street in front of the house. And she wanted to weed whack the yard,
Yeah.
which has no grass in it. There's no grass in the front yard. The yard is probably about 3 by 8 of gravel and a patch of grass closest to the house, which is farthest from where my car was parked. And he neglected to move the car. He said this car does not need to be moved for her to weed whack. If she wants to weed whack, absolutely fine. It's not going to affect our vehicle. That was the first time she called the cops that I can remember, and that was most recent. That was probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago. That was before the electricity situation.
So, at the end result, you wanted the local media, and what can we do? What can this interview do for the end result? What is the end result that you want to get resolved?
Well, we are eventually going to move. We were looking to move at the beginning of winter, which nobody wants to move every 6 months. I mean, my last apartment I lived at for 7 or 8 years. I only moved because the house was sold. So, 6 months moving, we have a whole house, we have animals, 2 bedrooms. Like, we don't want to move, but we realized we kind of had to. And this was way long ago. Scott got hurt in late February, March. He had surgery in May. He's still recovering from surgery. It was his leg. So it really prevents him from getting around a lot. So that greatly hindered us from like being able to move. So we need to move, but right now we need electricity. I don't know if you can see this. I have my phone, which obviously it's pointed at me, but my phone is propped up against a, can you see that? This is like a, cause it's dark in here. This is like a battery powered work light, like a Ryobi battery powered.
What are you doing for food? There's no electricity right now.
No, we haven't had electricity for over 2 weeks.
So what do you do to keep cool? What do you do to cook? This is interesting. What are you doing to keep cool? What are you doing? We're in the middle of like a heat wave right now as we're recording this, okay? What are you doing, especially the second floor?
I don't know if you can see this. Derek, listen, let me tell you something. I remember working with you in the winter months and me in 20 layers of clothing and still freezing inside with the heat on and 10, 20 layers of clothing and being freezing. So this heat doesn't normally bother me, but I normally have fans and I'll put on the AC on the worst of it. And this is kind of the worst of it. It's July. So this is the worst of it. But we went out and we are okay. I mean, we're not by any means destitute in any way. We're also not rich. We pay a decent amount for rent. It's not cheap to live in Rhode Island. We went out and bought a $900 generator because we didn't have any other choice. So I'm not familiar with generators. I've never used one. I don't know if you are, but they can be much more expensive than that. $900 is actually pretty cheap for a generator. I used to work at Home Depot. I remember selling them for thousands of dollars over 10, 15 years ago, at least anyway. So again, my boyfriend did all this research. He's the one that purchased it. We ran an extension cord. The cops will call then because we put the generator on the porch. And she asked us or demanded that we move it. It's never asked. It's always demanded. It was demanded. It was moved. So with the police here, we moved it. Our neighbors all are aware of this situation. They've all been very nice. They've all put up things like showers because we have no water now, too. That's most recent. This Monday was no water. No water. She turned it off Monday. So most recently, our neighbors have allowed us to come over to do things like take showers, jump in their pool. They allow us to park around their house because she took away our parking spot again months ago, long before the electric situation. This is just escalating harassment and illegal eviction tactics that have been progressing.
You stopped paying rent, right?
What's that? You
stopped paying rent, right?
No, we paid rent up until July 8th. July 8th was our next payment. We stopped paying rent because we had no electric as of June 30th. Sorry, yes, Mike, that's my fault.
So you did not pay rent in July?
We did not pay rent as of July 8th. That was when it was due.
Yes, thank you. Because if you can't pay rent now, so the thing is, what can the mayor do? Hopefully, what can law enforcement do?
Law enforcement can't do anything. It's all civil. I mean, I think that they could at least inform her of the fact that what she's doing is illegal, because apparently she has no fucks given. Like, that is totally her attitude. I think she knows too, and I don't know that she 100% knows that this is like actual factual. Like, we have a restraining order against her. It's posted on my door because that's how often the police are here. The police have seen it. She has seen it. It's, oh, by the way, Rhode you can do a smart search and you can look up people's names. It's last name, comma, space, first name. If they have another initial, like a middle initial, you can space and put the initial. Sometimes there's a lot of research, like John Smith or whatever, like, you know.
Right.
So if you need to do that, you can. But you can go to Rhode and you can see actual court records. There is nothing. She's posting on social media. She's a lot younger than us. What's that?
What's her name again?
Tiffany Lima.
Tiffany Lima. And is she married at all? Does she have any kids over there?
She has 2 children.
They live there.
They do.
And are they adults? Younger?
They're babies. Like, when I say babies, I think the youngest is 5 and the oldest is about 8. There's 2 of them.
Does she have a significant other?
The children's father, Derek, this gets so much more interesting than you even know. The children's father is the other homeowner. He's not here because she has a no contact order on him. She has told me in the past that she filed a false police report to get him removed from her home because he owns it with her. Oh. But he is a registered sex offender in the city of North Providence. Her children's father is a registered sex offender.
Okay, I have some I can relate to a lot of the things you're saying about a lot of different things you're saying over here, especially with former landlords. Me living back before I moved back to Rhode Island, I had issues in Salem, Massachusetts, and stuff like that. And I know what you're going through. I had neighbors that accused my son of doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the landlord that did not want to fix the refrigerator when he was supposed to. So I have empathy for you, Beth, you know, and you know, this is just very interesting. So Tiffany Lima, if you're hearing this interview, you've seen this interview, I'm going to post this on her Facebook too, hopefully, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, please don't, Derek, please don't do that. We're not trying to cause conflict. Well, you can put this out there. Let it be aware, because I'm going to tell you what she's doing. What she's doing is posting on social media, calling my boyfriend things like a pedophile. I'll give you some background on my boyfriend. He's a retired correctional officer, 30 years. He's currently disabled. That's why he doesn't work. He's 5 years older than me. I'm 47. He's 52.
I'm 47 as well.
Yeah. Okay, Derek. Are you really though?
Yeah, I just said 47. Back in June 7th.
77? I thought you were a little bit older, a little bit younger than me.
June 7th, 1977. And see, I look like I'm 50.
All right, you are older than me. You're a month older than me. On July 5th, 1977.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yes, thank you.
But she's posting on social media with false accusations. She's doing this to our neighbors as well. The neighbors that are being nice to us, and they've been putting up with her for a lot longer than we have. They're not in as close, you know, as we are. Obviously, we're living here. They live, you know, in the neighborhood, but they've seen everything that she's done since she's owned this house in the last 7-8 years. So they are well aware of her bullshit, to put it lightly. So they've been helping us out a lot throughout this time, as much as they can. And she's contacting them, telling them that not only my boyfriend's a pedophile, but also our vehicles are unregistered, unlicensed, uninsured, which is not true. We have 2 vehicles. They are both 1,000,000% legal. I mean, she's also, the whole red thing, again, I didn't know she was saying, she's doing this in my mind because she's crazy and she wants us to move, and she either can't afford or doesn't think she needs to go to court to remove us. I didn't know she was trying to say we didn't pay rent. I found that out today, actually. I found out that she's contacting the town saying we're not paying rent, which is why she's doing this. She's admitted to it to town officials. So she's saying we're not doing it because we're not paying rent. So I literally went online and printed out every check we've ever given her, because those are the lies that she's spreading, and that's absolutely not true. Absolutely not true.
Well,
I'll show you, Derek. I'm just gonna fan this here for you. I'm obviously not gonna show you bank information, but just for example, like checks, like that's what I've been posting. This is my letter to the mayor. Like I have a bunch of pages. I have more over there. So
if this interview gets big on social media, like I'm gonna tag you on Facebook, when this comes out. Channel 12. I usually put these things on links on Channel 12, Channel 10, Channel 6. If people start seeing this and start saying Tiffany Lima, what would you do? Do you think this will actually hopefully work?
I hope it will shame her into acting right. I have contacted, and actually, I know you've seen my social media, so just so everyone that doesn't know, what I've been doing is on my vehicle, I wrote very limited information, but contact Channel 12, tenant rights. We have no water, we have no power, and her name, which upset her very much. Call the cops. And again, we have the camera. I don't know exactly what she was saying because she was too far. They didn't contact us. They didn't ask us anything. They didn't actually come to us, but I know they were here when I wrote that on the vehicle. And
What was there?
No, the police. That's the police I'm talking about. This was in the last few days, like after she turned off the water. We again started looking into more resources. We started posting to my boyfriend and I, in the last 3 days, have started posting to social media asking for help. So we try to start some kind of a campaign where our friends, between us, we probably have 3,000 Facebook friends, and that's the only platform we've even been using was Facebook. But between the two of us, probably about 3,000 Facebook friends. And I don't know how many responses they had at Channel 12, but it was enough for them to contact me today. I spoke to Jackie at Channel 12 and had a conversation with her. It was pretty lengthy, and she had to let me go, but she requested I send her an email. So I sent her a copy of the restraining order. That includes the date it was filed, and the date of the court hearing where she has to show, which is this Friday. So hopefully some relief in 2 days.
So this court date this Friday.
Court date this Friday. Yep, 2 days.
With you suing her, right?
Well, this is Scott against her, so I don't even have to be there. And to be honest with you, we can't both leave this house at the same time, Derek, because as soon as we leave this house, what she's going to do is she's going to padlock the door behind us. We have animals in here.
That's right. I was thinking about that. Would she change the locks when you're not there?
Correct. All of our belongings in a 2-bedroom apartment, 2 animals. So we can't leave this house together.
So just, and both you and Scott go to work too?
No, I'm working. I mean, you know what I do. I bartend, and I'm working 4 different places right now. My primary job, I'm working 3 to 4 days a week out in Warwick Neck, which is pretty far. It's outdoors. My relief in the past few weeks is coming home and taking a cold shower. I can't do that anymore. But I'm trying to keep it light. But Scott is retired. He does not have to leave the house, and so he's basically become a prisoner.
Wow.
He's basically become a prisoner.
Hopefully this will get some a lot of views, and hopefully my interview with you does very well, and hopefully we can get a dent into this. You know what I'm saying? A dent into resolving this issue, or before you have to move. If you can move, when would you want to? I mean, as soon as possible, huh? If you can find something better, huh?
Yeah, after Scott had his surgery, we said let's give it a month. That was in June. That was right before all this started, like before the shit literally hit the fan. Like June, we were like, all right, July. No, it didn't happen. So, okay, now August. She is preventing us from not being able to move. She's not preventing us from being able to move, but I will tell you this. Between 2 refrigerators full of food, between eating out every night because we don't have cold storage or a way to cook, between the $900 generator, we've spent more in the last 2 weeks than we spend on rent. Our rent is $1,550. We've spent more on this. That's not what's hindering us. What's going to hinder us is this continuing, because we've saved up money. We have first and security. We're willing to even pay more than what we have now. of what we're paying now, because we know what rents are. And we're expecting anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000. 1,500 on the low end, because trust me, that's going to be pretty difficult. But 2,000 on the high end. That's what we've kind of budgeted for. And again, I'm working 6 to 7 days a week. It's cash money often, not always. It's some of it's paycheck and tax and waiting for me to get it. But often I take home some cash.
Well, I do thank you very much for being part of my podcast, and hopefully I was a big help for this interview, and see what we can do, and I'll put on my platforms. And thank you very much, Beth, for letting us know, and hopefully we can help you out with this,
Thanks, Derek. I appreciate it. Everyone out there, don't forget to Google Rhode it's an important safety factor for people to have access to know what's going on in court cases. I mean, Google people that you talk to that you're not aware of who they are, like 100% you don't know their background. It's an important thing to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Derek. Have a good night.
You too. And